Fewer than 5 weeks remain before the NHL trade deadline, and the league has already seen significant activity. So far, there have been 21 trades, including notable moves involving Mikko Rantanen and JT Miller. Teams are positioning themselves for a Stanley Cup run or planning for their long-term futures, with the deadline set for March 7th. This season has also seen 4 coaching changes and several key player extensions, including deals for Igor Shesterkin, Jake Oettinger, Logan Thompson, Alexis Lafreniere, and Linus Ullmark. Other top players, such as Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Brock Boeser, and Rantanen, remain eligible for extensions. Injury news has also impacted teams. The Columbus Blue Jackets received a blow when Kirill Marchenko suffered a broken jaw after being struck by a puck while on the bench during a game against the Dallas Stars. The team also lost defenseman Dante Fabbro to an upper body injury, which was believed to be a concussion. Meanwhile, the Dallas Stars made a significant trade, acquiring Mikael Granlund and Cody Ceci from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for a 2025 first-round pick and a conditional third-round pick. Granlund, who led the Sharks with 45 points in 52 games, will bolster the Stars' forward group, while Ceci adds depth to their defense. The New York Rangers made a splash by acquiring JT Miller from the Vancouver Canucks in a deal that also included Erik Brannstrom and Jackson Dorrington. In return, the Canucks received Filip Chytil, Victor Mancini, and a conditional first-round pick. Vancouver later flipped that pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins in a separate trade. The Philadelphia Flyers and Calgary Flames also completed a 4-player trade, with Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost heading to Calgary in exchange for Andrei Kuzmenko, Jacob Pelletier, and draft picks. The Vegas Golden Knights signed Brandon Saad for the remainder of the season after the St. Louis Blues waived him. Saad, a 2-time Stanley Cup winner, will look to regain his form after a dip in production this season. The Seattle Kraken placed goaltender Philip Grubauer on waivers, and they plan to send him to the AHL if he clears. Grubauer, once the team's top goalie, has struggled this season, posting a 3.83 goals against average and a .866 save percentage. In other news, the Los Angeles Kings welcomed back defenseman Drew Doughty, who made his season debut after recovering from a broken ankle. Doughty's return is a boost for the Kings, who have struggled on the power play this season. The Minnesota Wild announced that star forward Kirill Kaprizov will undergo surgery for a lower body injury, sidelining him for at least 4 weeks. Despite Kaprizov's absence, the Wild remain competitive in the Central Division. The Washington Capitals secured goaltender Logan Thompson with a 6-year extension, rewarding his strong performance this season. Thompson has been a key factor in the Capitals' success, posting a 22-2-3 record with a 2.09 goals against average and a .925 save percentage. The New York Islanders addressed their defensive injuries by acquiring Scott Perunovich from the St. Louis Blues. The Rangers signed defenseman Will Borgen to a 5-year extension, solidifying their blue line. The Colorado Avalanche made headlines by trading Mikko Rantanen to the Carolina Hurricanes in a blockbuster deal that included Martin Necas, Jack Drury, and draft picks. The Hurricanes also acquired Taylor Hall from the Chicago Blackhawks. The Avalanche, facing salary cap constraints, opted to move Rantanen, a 2-time 100-point scorer, to free up space. Meanwhile, the New Jersey Devils announced that goaltender Jacob Markstrom will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a sprained knee, potentially ruling him out for the Four Nations Face-Off tournament. The Edmonton Oilers added defensive depth by signing veteran John Klingberg for the remainder of the season. Klingberg, known for his puck-moving ability, will look to contribute after hip surgery. The Pittsburgh Penguins placed goaltender Tristan Jarry on waivers after a disappointing start to the season. Jarry, a 2-time All-Star, has struggled with a 3.32 goals against average and a .886 save percentage. The Montreal Canadiens announced that forward Emil Heineman will miss 3 to 4 weeks after being injured in a street accident. The Oilers' Evander Kane underwent knee surgery and is expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks, delaying his season debut. The Anaheim Ducks re-signed forward Frank Vatrano to a 3-year deal, securing one of their top scorers. The Nashville Predators and Colorado Avalanche swapped goaltenders, with Scott Wedgwood heading to Colorado and Justice Noonan going to Nashville. The Detroit Red Wings fired coach Derek Lalonde and hired veteran Todd McLellan to take over. McLellan, who won a Stanley Cup with the Red Wings as an assistant coach in 2008, will look to turn the team's season around. The Boston Bruins waived forward Tyler Johnson, making him a free agent. The New York Rangers traded Kaapo Kakko to the Seattle Kraken in exchange for defensemen Will Borgen and draft picks. Kakko, the number 2 overall pick in 2019, has yet to meet expectations in the NHL. Defenseman Justin Schultz announced his retirement after 12 NHL seasons, during which he won back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. The St. Louis Blues acquired defenseman Kim Fowler from the Anaheim Ducks, adding a veteran presence to their blue line. The New York Islanders placed Oliver Wahlstrom and Pierre Engvall forward on waivers, while the Minnesota Wild claimed defenseman Travis Dermott off waivers from the Edmonton Oilers. The Vancouver Canucks welcomed back JT Miller from a personal leave of absence. Miller, who has 16 points in 17 games this season, returned to the lineup and contributed with 2 assists in his first game back. The Colorado Avalanche acquired goaltender Mackenzie Blackwood from the San Jose Sharks, addressing their early season goaltending struggles. The New York Rangers traded captain Jacob Trouba to the Anaheim Ducks, freeing up cap space and acquiring defenseman Urho Vakanainen in return. The Chicago Blackhawks fired coach Luke Richardson after a disappointing start to the season. The Dallas Stars announced that forward Tyler Seguin will undergo hip surgery, sidelining him for 4 to 6 months. The Minnesota Wild acquired defenseman David Jiricek from the Columbus Blue Jackets, adding a promising young player to their roster. The Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Philip Tomasino from the Nashville Predators, hoping to bolster their bottom 6 forward group. The St. Louis Blues fired coach Drew Bannister and hired Jim Montgomery to replace him. Montgomery, a former head coach of the Boston Bruins, will look to turn the team's fortunes around. The Vegas Golden Knights signed forward Brett Howden to a 5-year extension, securing a key piece of their bottom 6 forward group. The Vancouver Canucks announced that JT Miller is taking an indefinite leave of absence for personal reasons, leaving a significant void in their lineup. The Boston Bruins fired coach Jim Montgomery after a slow start to the season, naming Joe Sacco as the interim head coach. The New York Islanders announced that defenseman Mike Riley will undergo a heart procedure and is out indefinitely. The Colorado Avalanche welcomed back forward Valeri Nichushkin from a 6-month suspension, adding a key offensive contributor to their lineup. The Buffalo Sabres claimed goaltender James Reimer off waivers, bringing him back to the team after a brief stint with the Anaheim Ducks. The Washington Capitals reacquired center Lars Eller in a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins, adding a familiar face to their lineup. The Calgary Flames announced that Anthony Mantha will undergo season-ending ACL surgery, a significant blow to their forward group. The Pittsburgh Penguins recalled goaltender Tristan Jarry from the AHL, hoping he can regain his form after a rough start to the season. The Seattle Kraken acquired forward Daniel Sprong from the Vancouver Canucks, adding a proven scorer to their lineup. The San Jose Sharks acquired defenseman Timothy Liljegren from the Toronto Maple Leafs, adding a young player to their rebuilding roster. The Utah Hockey Club acquired defenseman Olli Mata from the Detroit Red Wings, addressing a need for veteran depth on their blue line. The Toronto Maple Leafs signed defenseman Jake McCabe to a 5-year extension, securing a key piece of their defense. The New York Rangers recalled forward Matt Rempa from the AHL, adding toughness to their lineup. The Vegas Golden Knights signed defenseman Shea Theodore to a 7-year extension, ensuring their top defenseman remains with the team for the long term. The Florida Panthers extended head coach Paul Morris's contract after his successful tenure with the team, which included a Stanley Cup victory last season. The Dallas Stars signed goaltender Jake Oettinger to an 8-year extension, securing their franchise netminder for the foreseeable future.